My favorite quote from all of Stoic philosophy is one that we don't hear very often. It's from the Stoics' most famous, enslaved person, Epictetus. And he says, "Strength is forged in silence." Let me explain what he means by that. What does it mean for something to be forged? It is when you take like iron or some other raw material and you put it in the fire. You shape it, you hammer it, you bend it according to your will. That's what it means to forge something. And so Epictetus is saying that strength, our strength, it's not born, it's made. It's not given, it's taken. You have to forge it in the fires of life. But also notice the second part of that quote, which is that it's forged in silence. So how do we make strength without noise, without fanfare, without anybody even noticing? Well, let's break this down. So the first thing to know about forging anything is that it takes time. This is why so many self-help books or gurus or people who are trying to sell you something, they want to give you the shortcuts and the hacks. There's no such thing as getting stronger in a shortcut. Getting stronger takes time. It takes years. It takes decades. The Greek word here, the original word for silent, it actually means secret, something hidden. And so Epictetus is talking about something that's done in secret. And this is another theme that comes up again and again in Stoic philosophy. The idea that there are things that we have to do on our own, that there are things that we shouldn't brag about. Seneca talks about how there are some things that only benefit him, that only benefit you, that only benefit us. We shouldn't talk about them. They shouldn't be publicized. They're not things that we should seek praise or glory or honor for. And so this is a big theme in Stoic philosophy. The idea that there are things that we have to do in secret, things that we have to do silently. It's just between us and ourselves. The reason that these things happen in secret, this is really important to understand, is because if other people knew what we were doing, they would either laugh at us or mock us or discourage us or try to tear us down or try to stop us or try to bribe us or manipulate us. And so in order to do this work, we have to do it in secret. In fact, think about the kinds of things that you need to get stronger at. If everybody else knew what you were working on, if everyone else knew how much time and energy and effort you were putting into something, they'd say, "Hey, why don't you just do that? Why don't you just spend more time with your friends or play more video games or watch more TV?" These are things that we need to do in secret because the world doesn't reward these things. The world doesn't say, "Oh, well, look at you getting up early every morning, meditating by yourself, going for a run before anyone else is awake, reading books by yourself, learning new skills so that you can get better." No, the world doesn't reward those things. Those things have to be done in secret. The other kind of secret that this quote brings to mind is the secret that we hold inside of us. Marcus Aurelius says that the fruit of this good life that you're trying to live, the fruit of this good character that you're trying to build, it's silent. It's not meant to be shouted from the rooftops. Epictetus says that the secret to happiness is not to pursue things externally, but to change your relationship to what you already have, right? So when we look out there and we're envious of other people, when we're chasing after other people, when we're competing with other people, when we're comparing ourselves to other people, that's not where happiness is found. That's not where a good life is found. Instead, we have to turn inward and we have to work on ourselves and we have to get better. And yes, that can be done in silence, too. This is the idea of negative visualization, which is imagining the worst case scenario, imagining losing everything, imagining everything going wrong. That way, you're prepared, you're ready. But what does that do? What use is that? Well, the Stoics believed that you needed to have a certain amount of detachment from outcomes, that you couldn't be so married to any particular outcome, so desperate for something to go a certain way, that if it didn't go that way, you would be devastated, you would fall apart. And so we don't want to be so married to outcomes, which means we have to be willing to lose, we have to be willing to fail, we have to be willing to come up short, we have to be willing to not get what we want. And so it's an inner strength that we have to forge. It's a fortitude that we have to build up. It's a resilience that we have to develop. That's the other side of this coin, right? It's not just that we have to be willing to do the hard things in private, in secret, but we also have to be willing to endure whatever the outcome is, whatever happens, whatever the results are, good or bad. When you read the Gospels, you see Jesus being tempted by the devil in the wilderness. And the devil says to Jesus, "If you're the Son of God, if you're as powerful as you say you are, then prove it. You know, turn these stones into bread. Throw yourself off the temple and I'll save you. Bow down and worship me, and I'll give you all of the kingdoms of the world." And each time Jesus responds, "No, the scriptures say this. That's not where my strength is. That's not how I'm gonna prove myself. That's not how I'm gonna demonstrate my power. When you read the story of David and Goliath, you see that David has to go out there alone. He doesn't get to bring his friends. He doesn't get to bring his family. He doesn't get to bring the whole army. It's just him. And he's facing down this giant who's mocking him, who's insulting him, who's threatening to kill him. It's a one-on-one battle. We can't outsource this stuff. We can't have someone else do it for us. We have to do it on our own. We have to do it by ourselves. We have to do it in secret. Now, sometimes it might seem like there's no progress, right? Sometimes it might seem like nothing's happening. Sometimes it might seem like all of your efforts are in vain. And the Stoics talk about this idea that you have to keep doing the right thing even when you're not getting any benefit from it. Even when you don't feel like it. Even when it doesn't seem like it makes any difference. Marcus Aurelius says that you have to do the right thing because it's the right thing. You can't tie the doing of the right thing to any particular outcome, any particular result. You can't say, well, I'm only gonna be good if I get something good out of it. I'm only gonna be kind if someone else is kind to me. I'm only gonna be honest if it benefits me in some way. No, you can't tie it to outcomes. You have to be willing to do the right thing even when you're not getting any benefit from it. And so the Stoics believe that it's not the circumstances that determine our strength, our resilience, our fortitude. Instead, it's the other way around. Our strength, our resilience, our fortitude determines the circumstances, determines how we respond, determines how we react, determines what we're able to tolerate, what we're able to endure. And so this is a lesson in humility, right? Because what happens if we start thinking that we're weak? If we start telling ourselves that we're not strong enough or smart enough or talented enough, that story will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. And so Epictetus is saying that strength is forged in silence. It's made, it's not given, it's taken, it's forged in silence, it's done in secret, it's done privately, it's between us and ourselves. And it's so important to remember that, because if we don't do that, if we're always looking outside ourselves for validation, if we're always looking for praise and glory and honor from other people, then we're never gonna get stronger, then we're never gonna improve, then we're never gonna learn. So let's do this work in secret. Let's do this work silently. Let's get better for our own sake. In a world that rewards loudness, speed, and visibility, Epictetus reminds us of a deeper truth. True strength is built quietly, in moments of silence, solitude, and inner struggle. The Stoics did not shout their wisdom, they lived it. And that mastery was not achieved in public, but in private battles of the soul. It is in silence that you choose not to react. It is in silence that you endure pain with dignity. It is in silence that you reflect, refine, and return stronger. Epictetus taught that the strongest individuals are not those who speak the most, but those who govern themselves most completely. And this self-governance is born in silence, when you walk away instead of retaliate, when you suffer injustice without surrendering your virtue. These are not noisy acts, they are internal victories, unseen by the world, but deeply transformative. Epictetus believed that external power is temporary, but inner power is eternal, and it is built slowly, in silence, day by day. This is the ground where the Stoic stands firm. In silence, you hear your conscience more clearly. You separate what is essential from what is superficial. You stop chasing applause and start chasing excellence. The modern world confuses silence with weakness, but Stoicism teaches that stillness is control. It is the art of not letting emotions command your actions. It is the refusal to be manipulated by chaos. The Stoic mind does not panic, it pauses, it listens, it waits, then it acts with clarity, not noise. The strongest individuals often go unnoticed, not because they lack power, but because they don't need to prove it. They have forged themselves in silence, through hardship, reflection, and restraint. They are unshaken not because they were untouched by life, but because they trained, in silence, for the storm. So if you seek strength, don't just speak about it.